Welcome everyone back to Pommy and Earls. Hope we're all doing really well. If you're new around here, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe. Staggering 43% of you aren't subscribed. So if you could hit that subscribe button, takes 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Turn the notification bell on. And if you want to become a member this weekend, we are doing a giveaway. You'll win a hoodie. You can do that in that. We'll do a bit of the cricket. We'll do a bit of the watch along. So if you want to become a member, it's a cup of coffee. It really helps the channel out. We do a lot of in-depth stats, particularly with the draft coming up. We'll be doing draft profiles of every player. So you'll get to know them. We've added some video highlights this year. Always looking to improve our content. So what we're doing today is we're using my algorithm. So those who were familiar on Blue Abroad, we have a TPI rating. We also use that for just having a look. And we've done recent form and team strength with this. So we've disregarded some players who we know are out for the season. And we thought, let's have a look. So I haven't actually had a look at this. And here it is. So we're going to do this in actual real time. So I am going to be like literally, oh, I didn't know that. Do you know what I mean? So let's have a look. So the first game we've got is Bulldogs versus Essendon. So we've got here the Bulldogs win this one at the Docklands by 5. And then we've got this one. We've got an 18-point win scheduled to Richmond. Carlton, we've got 62 points, the Blues. Jesus, that's right at the end of the sketch, isn't it? Then at the Gabba, we've got a 16-point win to Brisbane. This one here we've got, and it's very tight, but surprising to some, just because of the result last week, this may floor it 11 to the Pies. Then we've got Fremantle versus Sydney, and we've got a surprise here for some, but Sydney will win that one by 3. GWS, we've got this one by 7. And then Melbourne, Adelaide, we've got Melbourne by 18. And St Kilda North, we've got St Kilda winning this one by 30. So then we'll get to this stage. GWS sneaking into the 8. Carlton, good healthy percentage, just below Geelong. Doggies holding on. St Kilda holding on. Essendon slipping out. And then we've got Collingwood versus Carlton. Now, unfortunately for my baggers, TPI is saying a 10-point win to Collingwood. Then we've got Geelong versus Fremantle. That's a 22-point to Geelong. This one here is a 12-point to the Dogs. 23 to Brisbane. Essendon versus Sydney at the Docklands. We've got an Essendon 4-point win. Adelaide versus Port. We've got Port by 16. Then we've got St Kilda versus Hawthorn. Now, this might surprise some people, but we've got a 3-point win to Hawthorn, which wait and see on that one. I'm not 100% confident on that one. Richmond versus Melbourne at the G. We've got Melbourne winning that one, and North are scheduled to win this one by 10 points. So, really hotting up there in the table. Collingwood looking like they've just about secured the minor premiership. Port locked away a second. Brisbane, Melbourne look like they've got the top 4, but that 5 to 10 is really heating up. And then we come to the Doggies versus Richmond. At the Docklands, we've got a 3-point win there. A comfortable 25-point win for Essendon. Adelaide versus Gold Coast. We've got a 22-point for Adelaide. Hawthorn versus Collingwood. We've got a 30-point win for them. Geelong versus Port. We've got 13 at Cardinia to GWS. To Geelong. GWS versus Sydney. We've got a 9-point to Sydney. North versus Melbourne. 47. Where is it? There we are. Carlton versus Saints. We've got 21. Fremantle versus Brisbane. We've got 17. Right? So that takes us there. Carlton sneaking to the 8 at St Kilda's expense. Essendon clinging on. Geelong going up the ladder. The top 4 looks home and hosed. Dogs, Geelong, all chasing that spot. So this will be important. Collingwood here will help everyone out with an 11-point win. North versus Essendon. We've got a big win coming for Essendon. Then we've got Sydney versus Gold Coast. We've got Sydney winning this one by 15. Brisbane versus Adelaide. We've got a Brisbane win by 22. Carlton versus Melbourne. Very tight. 3-point win, Blues. Eagles, Freo, a 24-point win for Fremantle. Hawthorn versus the Bulldogs. We've got 22. So the Dogs. Richmond versus St Kilda. At the Docklands, we've got Richmond coming back. And GWS and Port, we've got a 26 points. So by round 23... start of that, we have got the top 8 looking like Pies, Brisbane, Port, Melbourne, Dogs, Essendon, Geelong, Carlton, Sydney sneaking up with Richmond, St Kilda falling down. Them injuries will be hurting them, but they will be starting to hopefully come back. Collingwood versus Brisbane, we've got a 9-point win for the Pies. Richmond versus North, we've got a very big win for Richmond. Carlton versus Gold Coast, 17. That gets Carlton pretty much home and hosed for finals, you would have thought. This one might surprise a few people. At the Sydney Showgrounds, 9 to Sydney. Geelong, 18 here. Sydney versus Adelaide at the AO. Adelaide hit back. And then we've got Dogs versus this. This is a 51-point demolition job. Melbourne versus Hawthorn. We've got a 32-point for Melbourne. And Port win this one by 24. Going into the final round then, Carlton are pretty much home with that percentage. Essendon, squeaky bum time. Geelong, Dogs, everyone's in there. And you know the Dogs will go out in straight sets as they often do. Brisbane, they will cement their final spot with a 25-point win. Carlton versus GWS. Carlton will run into the finals. Essendon, a 25-point win from Collingwood. Geelong will win this one by 20. Fremantle versus Hawthorn. We've got the G, a 2-point win for Hawthorn. North versus Gold Coast. We've got a Gold Coast by 21. Melbourne versus Sydney. Melbourne by 12. Port versus Richmond. Richmond by 14. And Eagles to finish off, a 28-point by Adelaide. And there is your finals. There is your final side. We've got Collingwood, Port, Brisbane. We've got Melbourne, Dogs, Geelong, Carlton, Essendon, right? So then you've got this one here. We've got Collingwood are winning this one, according to our system. You've got Essendon surprising the world and winning their first final. Unfortunately for Carlton, now this is going to be an interesting one. This should be at the G. If it's at the G, based on what's gone on, it's a lot closer. If it's there, it's there. But rounded both out, it's a 5-point swing to Geelong. And then Port, qualifying final versus Brisbane. Port win it, all right? This one here, Melbourne versus Essendon. Melbourne go through. Brisbane knock the reigning premiers out here. You've got Collingwood will win this one. Melbourne in that. And that is the final with the winner, I hate to say it, being Collingwood there. Obviously, that is just metrics. Always tough to tell because a lot has happened in the season and then metrics really do change. But that was a lot of fun. We tried to be unbiased, but let me know what your ladder looks like. Do you have an algorithm? How do you judge it? Look after yourselves. Let's hope my baggers get into them finals and hope that one's at the G. That would be a ripper. But enjoy yourselves. Look after yourselves. See you tonight on the ratings doubleheader.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad.